Hello and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. We're brought to you every week by our sponsors, PrecisionHydration.com.
Precision Hydration offer electrolyte drinks in different strengths to match how you sweat. Personalise your hydration strategy today at precisionhydration.com and get a free box or tube of pH worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict.
We're also brought to you by TeamOxygenaddict.com Triathlon Coaching,
the official coaching partner to the Outlaw series, training plans, coaching support from Rob Wilby, monthly video coaching calls, and a private Facebook group for you and your teammates.
And remember, you can also join our new Oxygenaddict Triathlon Community Facebook page. We've got over 1,100 members in there now. So if you want to chat all things triathlon on Facebook, get yourself over in there. It'd be nice to see you in there soon. We're also brought to you by FueledByCake.com.
That would be my charity recipe book. It's a must-have for your kitchen, full of recipes from lovely triathletes like Vicky Holland and Rachel Joyce and Laura Siddle, Chrissy Wellington, and every single penny goes to charity. FueledByCake.com.
All right, we're going to kick off the show this week by saying thanks so much for everybody who has left a review on iTunes for us recently. I know I've been asking for that the last few weeks, but we've now got over 100 5-star reviews on iTunes, which is amazing. And because of that, thanks to everyone who's done that, we've been regularly ranked number 1 in triathlon podcasts on all of iTunes over the last couple of months, which is pretty amazing, isn't it?
That's insane.
I know, right? So I want to give a little shout out. There's people don't leave the real names, which is a shame, but we've got like the most recent one from a person called Try a Little Harder. It says, amazing and insightful interviews, great banter between the hosts, and it's obvious Rob and Helen's passion for all things triathlon sounds through. I want them as my friends. Well, you can have us as your friends, Try a Little Harder. So listen, thank you all so much for doing that. It's really amazing. My mum just couldn't believe it when I showed her Helen. I was like, look, we're number 1 on iTunes. I took a screenshot and everything. So to think you can start a show sitting in your old conservatory talking about triathlon and end up with people listening all around the world. And we've done, I think it's close to 200,000 downloads this year alone and nearly 500,000 downloads overall now. So it's just ace. So thanks very much. And anyone who's listening who hasn't left a review and fancies doing so, please just go on and leave us an honest review. We'd really appreciate that. It really helps us go up the rankings. That's helping grow the show. Helping grow the show helps us get bigger names on the show still. So everyone's a winner, really, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. That's ace, Rob. That's really good.
No, huh?
Yeah. And then that means that, you know, if you come on the show, we speak to you, well, hey, it's going to loads of people. So that's good too. Win-win.
That's right. Win-win. Nearly 9,000 different listeners last month, which just blows my mind. When you think we had like 61 downloads in the first week when we ever did it. I'm pretty sure most of those are my family and your family. So
you're quite probably. Wow.
I know.
Yeah, that is crazy, isn't it?
It is really, really cool.
God.
Right. We should talk a little bit of triathlon really then, shouldn't we? There's some amazing stuff been going on this week. So should we jump in and do results?
Yes, let's do that.
All right.
Yeah, let's start off. We can chat a bit later.
Yeah. So results is sponsored by our friends over at precisionhydration.com who have been with us almost from the beginning, which is amazing support from them, and they're an amazing product. So if you haven't tried out Precision Hydration yet, they are the best solution for electrolyte problems. You're going to need electrolytes during the winter because either you're going to be working out indoors on the treadmill or on the turbo trainer and getting hot and sweaty, or you're going to be swimming. I'm guessing indoors hells most people. Most people won't be outdoors in the winter. And if you're swimming indoors and you end up getting cramps in your calves and your feet, electrolytes are going to really help solve that problem as well. So get on top of your hydration problems by visiting precisionhydration.com. You can get a free box or tube of pH worth up to $9.99 using the code Oxygenaddict. You can take their online sweat test. You can go and see them in person for an in-person sweat test that'll tell you exactly what rate you sweat at, or exactly what, what's the word I'm looking for here? Concentration that you sweat at.
Say.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there are people, crazy people like me, who are really random outliers who lose ridiculous amounts more sodium than normal people. So if that's you, if you've been struggling with having lots of cramps, or if you've been struggling with feeling really sick and unwell at the end of races, especially when it's hot, it's a good sign that the hydration might be a problem, and keeping on top of your electrolytes can really help you. So yeah, go and give them a visit. There's loads of free information, and check it out at precisionhydration.com.
Yeah, Rob, you said about free information. I was looking earlier, going back through some of their blogs.
It's good,
so if you
isn't
head
it?
to precisionhydration.com/blogs, up there, I mean, the one I've got in front of me right now is should your hydration strategy change as you get older? So just loads of really, really interesting stuff about fueling ultra runs, fueling Ötulö, the swim runs, stuff about hydration during the winter, which is pretty useful for a lot of us in the UK or anyone in the Northern Hemisphere. So just, it's full of really fascinating information. So go and head over to precisionhydration.com, and when you're ordering your products, then check out the blogs as well.
Definitely. Well, we mentioned their training for the Northern Hemisphere winter and being indoors all the time, but we've got to remember as well, we've got listeners down in Australia, and their season is in complete full swing at the moment, isn't it? Because I think we had Ironman, was it Western Sydney last week?
Yep,
70.3 right. Western Sydney, which was won by Terenzo. And then this week, there's Ironman Western Australia. Now, Hells, I fired Terenzo an email last week to say, congrats, man, what a great comeback. Please, can you find the time to come back on the show? Didn't hear anything back from him. And I think I know why. I think I've worked out what he might have been up to this week.
Recovering and preparing to race again.
Recovering and preparing to race Ironman Western Australia. Who knew that you could bounce back at a professional level from doing a 70.3 one weekend, and then you give it a roll of the dice and see how you go in a full-on Ironman? Pretty amazing to come back and win in your second fastest time ever over the Ironman distance, right?
Oh, yeah, it's an incredible performance as well. He finished with a 2:51 run. He did a 4:12 bike and a 48-minute swim. And yeah, as we mentioned him last week, taking that win in Western Sydney, and it's just great that he's been able to sort of come back and recover from that horrible accident. Shout out, Rob, as well, to Cam Worth.
Yeah, he had the race of his life, didn't he? He's getting better and better.
Yeah, pushed him all the way. And when we had Cam Worth on the podcast around about this time last year-ish, or maybe just into the new year, he was sort of talking a bit about that 3-hour marathon, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And he hadn't quite done it. So Western Australia, he ran a 2:56, put that together with a 4:07 bike, and he really was not far at all. He was only just over a minute and a half behind Terenzo at the finish line, which, yeah, he's doing wonders.
Yeah, he's coming on race after race, isn't he? So
yep.
I think Terenzo caught him at about the 30k mark on the marathon, maybe a little bit further in. So considering it was 12k to the finish from there, to battle on and only lose a minute at that point is amazing, isn't it? It shows his running, and the back end of his running is getting really, really strong.
Yep.
And I mean, he's always been a really decent swimmer, but he came out of the water less than a minute down on Terenzo, who's always been a front pack swimmer. So there's got to be people looking at Cam Worth and thinking, the guy's not going to have any weaknesses. If he can shave another 5 minutes off that run and start putting out, a 2:48, a 2:49 off the bike, which is definitely on the cards with the way he's progressing, then all of a sudden, no one's catching him.
No, it's cool to watch him go. And then, Rob, in the women's race, an incredible performance from Caroline Steffen, who she broke the course record, didn't she? 8:49. But not only that, she's still breastfeeding her son Xander. So I read that she had to up the calories, especially for this race.
Wow.
Yeah, because she's still breastfeeding him. I mean, that's incredible.
It really is, isn't it? And it's amazing how quickly people kind of get forgotten in this sport, isn't it? A 1 year cycle is 2 Konas, and all of a sudden people aren't talking about you anymore. She was the dominant athlete just before Daniela Reef came along to Ironman, wasn't she?
Yeah.
And she's been out the spotlight maybe for 3 years, maybe a little bit more. So first Ironman back to break the course record at Western Australia, which it's not an easy course record to break.
No. To
go 8:49 in your first Ironman back and do 4:44 on the bike. Hello.
And she's 40.
Staggering.
It's great, isn't it? And a really good as well. Amazing debut from Barbara Riveros, who came second, Rob. She's from Chile. She was second in 9:08 in her first Ironman, very much up until this point an ITU athlete. I think last year she had started to do some 70.3s, but this is her first attempt over the iron distance. So that's not too shabby, is that, for a debut in 9:08?
9:08 for your debut. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Good going, isn't it?
It really is. Hats off, Barbara. That's very impressive.
Yeah.
All right, let's give a quick readout of those results overall. And Terenzo's gone 7:56 to take the win. Camworth 7:57.40 in second, and then Matt Burton of Australia in third in 8:07. And Luke McKenzie, a solid performance for him there in 8:09. I've not seen much of him over the last season or so. He was second at Kona a few years back, so it's good to see him back in decent form.
Yeah, Caroline Steffen won, as we mentioned, 8:49. Absolutely blistering. Barbara Riveros in 9:08 was second, and then Dimitri Lee Duke third in 9:15.
Good stuff. All right, so then swapping over to Argentina, it was
cold in the water.
It was cold in the water, and Helen's going to pronounce. Is it Mar del Plata?
Yep, Mar del Plata. Yes.
Wow, look at that. Muy bien.
That one's not too difficult, to be fair, Rob.
It's not, is it? But they never look too difficult, Helen. And then I hear you pronounce them and think, oh, I would have made a right pig's ear of that. So.
Yeah, no, okay, fine. That was incredible pronunciation, Rob. That was just wow. I'm blown my mind.
All right, yeah.
It was so cold that they cut the swim in half.
Yeah, well, that's so. Talk to me about that. Were they expecting it to be? Well, presumably they were expecting it to be much warmer. Was it just unseasonably cold water or bad weather or what? It's.
I don't know. I don't think they were
because all the photos, they're all in shorts and stuff, aren't they? It looks really hot on race day. So
yeah. Don't know.
I wonder whether
it looks sunny, like 17, 18, 19 kind of degrees at the moment.
I wonder whether we need to get in contact with them and lend them that special magic thermometer that never lets the swim that gets cancelled in any of the cold races we rock up to.
Well, I like the magic slate man for that thermometer.
The magic slate man thermometer. Yeah, no, you're fine. Go on, get in. But there's polar bears crying over there. No, you'll be fine. Honestly, go on.
It does look very. I like that part of the world anyway. So yeah.
Looks beautiful, doesn't it?
And we'll come on to the results of Mar del Plata very, very shortly. But the other race that's going to be happening, which we can talk about later in a week's time, Rob, is Patagon Man.
Oh yes, of course, the new X-Tri series one. And
I don't know current temperature, but I was talking to someone who's going to be racing, and 7 degrees was the water temperature fairly recently.
Ooh, toasty warm.
Just so we can all get a little bit of a geography hat on here for where on earth is Mar del Plata, just so you've got a bit of an idea. So it is south of Buenos Aires. If you go directly south, and it's not that far from Buenos Aires, kind of roundabout as the computer's loading, and I will carry on talking to tell you how far it is, or maybe so driving about 4.5 hour drive.
There we go.
So that gives you a bit of geography as to where it is.
Helen's South American geography lesson of the day. I nearly said South African then.
Yeah, so then you can picture where we're talking about and work out if that's unseasonably cold water-wise. Anyway, to the actual racing, shall we start with the women's race?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. Start with the ladies. So it looks like Didi Griesbauer led the swim out, so hats off to her. She's still going super strong, isn't she? But with it being so shortened, I think it's not exactly playing to her strengths, is it?
No. Just following her out the water was Marinda Carfrey. Kimberly Morrison was racing. Susie Cheetham as well. Ursula Lundstrom of Sweden. But on the bike, Sarah Crowley basically, smashed the bike.
Dominated.
Absolutely. Yeah. Women's best 4:51 on the bike. And she finished it off with a 3:01 marathon to take the win only a couple of minutes ahead of Susie Cheetham, who finished in 8:23. She did a 3-hour marathon to boot. So that means that Sarah and Susie have both stamped their ticket for Kona 2019 from that race. And the other person to make sure that they're going to be back in Kona was Marinda Carfrey. She came 6th, but because she's won before in Kona, that was what she had to do. So
it's like a validation, is it?
Yeah.
It's like validation for her. Okay.
Yeah. So I haven't mentioned who came 3rd in the women's race, which was Minni Kostinen of Finland in 8:28.
And then Sarah Piampiano in 4th as well. Good to see her racing well.
Yep.
But I think it's the new qualification for Kona system now, isn't it? So first 2 ladies across the line, and I think there was maybe more slots for the men because it was they're doing like a proportional representation. It's hard to keep up, isn't it?
Oh yeah. It's
there we go. 4 male slots and 2 female slots for Kona given out.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
correct.
So down in the men's race, we had a win for Michael Weiss, who took it out in 7:30 with a shortened swim, and then great result for Matt Hansen in 2nd, about 9 minutes down, but with an amazing 2:45 marathon. So great to see him going so well. I think we had Matt on the show a while ago. Let me see, it was episode 183, and I remember that being a really great, interesting interview. Actually, it was
because of his sports science background as well.
Yeah. So super smart guy. He's a university professor, and it was off the back of him winning Ironman Texas. He'd gone super fast at.
Yeah, well, I say so.
It's one of those ones. And he talks about, do you remember, it was like driving overnight to get back to university, showering in the back room in 10 minutes, and then getting out to teach classes all day. So he doesn't have the life of what you might consider to be a traditional professional triathlete. Very interesting guy. So episode 183, if you want to go back and check that one out.
Awesome.
Yeah, good. All right, Hells, who's our interview of the week this week, please?
Yes. I was just going to say Mario de Elias of Argentina was 3rd, by the way, there.
Sorry.
And he got a Kona slot, as did Jesper Svensson of Sweden. Just if you wanted, if you're taking keeping tabs on Kona. So this week's interview of the week is Alex Yee. So
tell us about him, Hells. That name seems very familiar from someone who's watching a bit of athletics this summer. What's he doing on a triathlon podcast?
You might have also seen him racing at Super League in Jersey in September. And he is an incredible athlete, both on the track and in triathlon as well. He's part of the he's training in Leeds, so he trains alongside the likes of Tom Bishop, Elliot Smales, who we've both had on the podcast. But this summer, he ran 27:51, which is just amazing, to become British 10,000 metre champion in May.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It's so rapid. So he also raced in Berlin at the European Athletics Championships. You might have seen him in a Diamond League as well.
Yeah.
So just absolutely incredible athlete on the track. However, as he tells us in this podcast, it is triathlon that he would love to do at Tokyo in 2020. And we talk a bit about, I ask him, would you be aiming for the 10,000 meters or the triathlon, or would you go for both? So he talks a bit about that. But also, Rob, what is incredible is that in 2017, he had a really, really horrible crash in a World Cup race in Italy, I think it was. And we talk about the rehab from that as well. And it's amazing that he's back where he is, doing what he is, putting out these incredible times and just improving, race by race at triathlon as well. So he's definitely one that you're going to want to have on your radar as we get closer to the Tokyo Olympics. So here we go. Here is this week's interview of the week with Alex Yee. Alex Yee, hello, and welcome to the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. How's it going?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's been good this morning. I just had 75 minutes of swimming, so just 4K in the pool, which has been pretty steady away. And then later on, we've got a bit of a bike session to do. So starting steady away because I've only just got back into things, but yeah, enjoying it at the same time.
And like the rest of us, do you feel absolutely rubbish those first few sessions back?
I think it would be a crime if you didn't, if you hadn't put on a bit of weight over the off season and whatnot. I think you've probably not done yourself justice over your break, have you? So the first swim back especially, you kind of get in and you're like, oh goodness, what's this thing we call swimming? But it's good. It's kind of an enjoyable sensation in a way, kind of finding your fitness again and a rewarding in a way.
For people who might not be aware of you, they might not have watched you over the summer, hopefully they watched you doing the Super League and things, just give us a little bit of an introduction.
I started triathlon when I was kind of 7 years old, and I've been doing it ever since. And a few years ago I got put on the world-class training squad, triathlon squad, and ever since that I've just progressed a little bit. And this year's kind of been a bit of a breakthrough year after what had been a pretty tough year last year for both running and triathlon, so I've been really lucky in that sense.
A couple of years ago I went on a triathlon camp in Mallorca with a bunch of people from Crystal Palace Tri Club, and this would have been 2014, 2015, and at the time they were like, oh, there's this really young lad, he's amazing, he's gonna be great. And then funnily enough, your name crops up.
Yeah, I mean, I remember doing countless rides with and swims and runs, in fact, with the adults from the Tri Club there, and I remember most of them being head and shoulders above me on many of the longer rides, especially just kind of dropping me up the hills and little things like that. But as I started to get older and stuff, I started to go in the quicker groups and stuff, and yeah, it was cool for them to be part of the journey, and then for me to still be part of kind of my local tri club for such a long time, from almost 7 years old to 18. I was always there and kind of going to the same sessions as I was when I was 7, which is really nice.
At what point did you start excelling at running yet excelling at triathlon at the same time? Have you always been trying to balance the two?
I was never really the best runner when I started. I'd almost argue that my younger brother was probably a bit more talented than I was when we started and stuff, and I think we definitely had a bit of talent in the family, I can't deny, but I think I only really kind of started to unlock that when I was kind of 14, 15s. I never used to be at the front of the junior races and stuff like that, and the youth races. I used to be there or thereabouts, but never kind of winning and stuff, and I think that kept me motivated. And getting into the junior category, I really started to believe that I could be really good, and that this could potentially be something that I could do as a career, and something that I definitely loved.
So were you always trying to sort of chase your brother basically and keep up with him?
No, I think he was chasing me, but he was chasing me at a pretty quick rate that I thought, oh my goodness, I think he's going to be better than me soon. But we both went on different paths, and he's now excelling academically really well, whereas I guess I've taken a bit more of a sports route and kind of pursued that.
Is there anything that you prefer in terms of running or triathlon, or do you just love them both? Because for people that don't know, you are ridiculously talented with running. 5k PB of 13:34, 10k 27:51, which you did in May this year, which is insanely quick. But then, you were world duathlon champion in 2016, so you're clearly ridiculously talented across the board. Do you love balancing the two?
Yeah, I think that it's a challenge for me, and I kind of enjoy that, and I use that as motivation in a way. I think definitely looking forward towards the next season, it's going to be a challenge to balance both, but I think it's that excites me in a way and keeps me motivated to train so hard throughout the winter. And honestly, I think the triathlon training brings on the running so much that they almost complement each other in a way. I think the aerobic training we do on the bike and the swim has a real benefit on run fitness and how you perform on the run, whether that's off the bike or on the track, just pure racing. So I think that though it's a challenge to plan the races, I think that the training is really straightforward, and I've been really lucky that in that the training I've been doing has been working, and the aerobic base that you get from training 35 hours a week, that does pay off in a way.
How much of the time do you actually spend running, and is it a lot less than if you were a pure runner, if that makes sense?
If I'm honest, I don't know how much like the top guys run. I mean, I'll still be operating at about probably 60 to 80 miles a week most weeks, and I think I went up to 95 before Europeans. So I still would say that I'm doing big volume weeks of running, but around that I'm still doing kind of 10 to 15 hours on the bike. So it's complemented with something else, which I think is key at the same time to manage the offloading, and is a different type of active recovery or a different type of aerobic development. So I definitely think it benefits.
And when you were building up, let's say for the Europeans in August, and you were having like the 95-mile run weeks,
yeah,
were your training partners like Tom Ship and Elliot Smales, I don't know, did they go off and do a different sort of triathlon session while you had to go for a run, or did they get, were they resting and you were putting in extra hours at that point?
Tom and Elliot are absolute freaks of nature in that they kind of are up at 70 to 80 miles most weeks anyway, that they're extremely robust athletes and extreme hard workers as well, which has worked out really well for me as well, which has meant that I've always had someone to run with. So they'll often, when I'll be doing a steady runs or like light tempo runs, and I'll always have someone to run with in them, or there's loads of other guys in and about the environment, which in the Leeds environment, which are available to run with and stuff, and are always up for it. So I'm incredibly lucky that I'll probably rarely do a run on my own, which is something which I think is really special about Leeds, is that everyone kind of helps each other, and which has been really nice for me, definitely.
Do you speak a bit to Beth Potter as well? Because she's obviously been based up in Leeds, and she would be someone else who's been mixing the track running with the triathlon.
Yeah, I good friends with Beth. She gave me quite a bit of advice actually, going into night 10,000, which was my first 10K actually. So she kind of taught, because she'd obviously won there before, she kind of told me some tips and little things about looking at the lap counter and following the right lines and choosing, and then when to make decisions and stuff like that, which was really, really helpful and really good. And she's getting on really well and training really well at the moment as well. So it'll be exciting to see what she does in the future. And
proof that you can balance the two, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. She's gone to Olympic Games and a Commonwealth Games since she started triathlon. So, I mean, that speaks volumes for her talent itself, and then what is possible for a triathlete and what can be done through triathlon training, which I find pretty exciting.
So Tokyo 2020, is that a realistic goal for you to be there?
I'm definitely going to be looking towards that. I think it's been a goal almost since I was a kid. Like I was like, okay, I'll probably be too young, 18, too young to go to Olympics, like in my naive head in 2016. But then 2020, yeah, 22, you'll be well old enough, you'll be fine. And it's only, and I kind of put that to the back of my head from when I was like 10 years old and a big dreamer until kind of this year. And it's been like, wow, like what I've kind of hit the qualification time for the 10K 2 years early now. And if it was Olympic year, I would have gone to the Olympics for the 10K, and it's kind of easy to get caught up in that and stuff like that. But then at the same time, I still do believe that I'm a triathlete that does love running, and I'd love to give the triathlon a go. And I feel like there's a real opportunity with the third spot, which is, you'd almost argue, up for grabs in triathlon. So I'm definitely going to push on early doors in the season. Kind of, I'd really like to get some WTS exposure and then see where that takes me. Looking forward to 2020, I'd just like to go into it looking at like a competitive athlete, whether that's actually at Tokyo or whether that's just throughout the season itself.
So the ultimate goal for Tokyo would be doing both, or would you go for one?
For the time being, it'll probably be one. I think you've got to respect how much strain and how much commitment each governing body will be putting into you if you were to go to just one for one. I didn't really want to go to an Olympics and to go in a way. I kind of really want to be able to deliver, and I feel like qualifying for GB in itself for triathlon almost is a statement that you are intending to deliver, and that you kind of will stand on that start line and almost be fair in a way, because we've won the last two and we've got 2 medals in the last 2 in the male side, so it's a real statement of intent, I guess. And obviously that's a long way away, but I'd love to go for that.
That's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really cool to think that. It blows my mind.
Mo Farah tipped you as a future Olympian. Have you spoken to him a bit?
Not recently, no. I think obviously he's now moved on to doing the road stuff and the marathon stuff, so he's not been in the teams that I've been in, kind of at the Diamond League that I did and at European Champs at the track, so I haven't got to speak to him much at all. So, but when I did get to speak to him, he was incredibly inspirational and put a bit of belief in me.
What did he say to you?
He was just like, I can't believe how fast you're running for your age and stuff like that, and just keep going with it. And he sent me a really nice message after my crash, which honestly raised my spirits so much, and just kind of said, you can do it, I know what you're capable of and stuff like that. And that honestly touched my heart, and for someone like that to do something for little old me at the time, I was just like, oh, that's really cool and really special.
You mentioned your crash then. Take us back to June 2017. It's probably horrible to have to relive through it, but tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I was racing my first senior World Cup race. It's kind of a bit of an opportunity, I guess, British Triathlon taking a chance on me, and I'd started really well and had a really great swim, got in the front bunch, and then there was a huge bunch of us, maybe 45 athletes, and in that there's always going to be a bit of push and shove. And then as we were coming out of one of the dead turns, I got forced out of the road and pushed into a concrete bollard, and had some pretty bad injuries from it, which was obviously a hard blow to take at the time, but has almost brought me on and allowed me to work on things which I wouldn't have been able to work out when you're training at full blast all the time. And I think that's almost allowed me to soak up the load that I'm doing in my new environment now in Leeds, and has almost kind of redefined who I am in a really corny sense, to have some great results this year, I guess.
Did you wake up in hospital?
Yeah, I didn't really have much recollection of the rest of that day, if I'm honest. It was pretty bizarre. The first time I woke up, I didn't really know what had happened to me. I just could stick my tongue through my chin, and I was like, why can I do this? It doesn't make any sense. And then I kind of looked down and I was like, oh my goodness. I had like the cannulas in and little things like that, and a little chest drain through my going into my lung and stuff like that, and it was just all really bizarre, and it kind of took a bit of time to sink in what had really happened.
Did you think you'd be able to get back to the top again?
Initially, when I'd heard what had happened, I think people were skeptical whether I was going to be able to run again and stuff like that, but I was already thinking about trying to race in Rotterdam, which was 4 weeks down the line, which was incredibly naive of me, looking back at it. But I was kind of not ready to accept that, and I kind of was gutted, but at the same time was like, I'll be fine. I'll be able to get back. Stranger things have happened, and as it turned out, I probably wasn't really running properly until October, November time. So it was kind of thanks to the support team that kind of managed my expectations in a way, because obviously as an incredibly naive athlete, you just want to keep going and pushing your body, but sometimes you just got to step back and be like, yeah, you've really done something to to do this, so you just got to recover from this properly and fully before you can even start thinking about kind of doing anything. But it was credit to the support staff around me that I could even get back running and training. And yeah, each days you kind of, when you're not motivated to get up and run and stuff like that, you kind of kick yourself and you're like, what are you talking about? There was a chance that you couldn't have been doing this. So just, appreciate every day in a way.
Yeah, because you had broken ribs, broken vertebrae, collapsed lung. It must have been a really, really rough time.
Yeah, it was pretty hard to just do normal human stuff, let alone think about putting my body under such stress that a triathlon brings. So I was, it was pretty tough, but it was, in a way I had like really, really good people around me. My family was so good, and my mum flew out for me, which was really special, and kind of was by my side all the time, which was really nice. And then to have kind of a support network around you like that is almost half the battle in a way. And then it was just kind of for me to kind of battle away those demons and stuff. And I was lucky enough to go back and race there this year, which kind of put the demons to bed a little bit. And I think I'll carry on going back there until hopefully I can get the tape, but we'll have to see what happens.
Let's go back to this summer and the athletics championships in the European Athletics Championships in Berlin. What was it like being part of that, like a major sporting event of the summer?
Pretty surreal. It was a really humbling experience, and I think you kind of go into the stadium and you see 40,000 people in the stadium. You're like, wow, this is pretty surreal. This is, honestly, I took a step back and was like, just pretty amazed by all that people would want to come out and watch almost you run. And yeah, I just couldn't really believe it. And then just to kind of soak up the atmosphere and run around kind of and just hear people cheering your name and stuff like that, it's just really special. And I think even if I don't pursue a career in athletics or triathlon or whatever happens, these things are still like very special and stuff I'll hold on to definitely in the future.
Have your times this summer surprised you just how quick you've gone?
Yes, definitely. For the 10K, I kind of believe that I was around the 28-minute mark, but I didn't know how quick I'd go and if I was being naive and whatnot and stuff. I mean, delivering some sessions which I'd never been able to deliver before, and you still don't know how you're going to perform. And a lot of people in athletics say we only kind of got 70% out of what we were capable of in training and stuff like that. So you still never know whether you're going to be part of that lucky few who can really deliver on the day and get it out of you. And obviously I was really lucky to do that in Night of 10,000, but then I was almost arguably in better shape for Europeans and missed out. So it's a bit of give and take with everything, I guess. And then with the 5K, I'd almost say the same. I felt like I was in a bit better shape to try on a quicker time, but that's all for a future date, I guess. I'm still only 20, so I'm sure there'll be plenty more 5Ks to be run. So we'll just have to see what happens in the future.
Plenty more to go at.
Yeah.
What about Super League then? You got the call up for Jersey. Were you expecting that?
I was actually going to race in Super League the year before, and that was kind of came as a huge surprise. Macca sent me a message saying I just run 13:37 in 2016, which had come as a huge surprise to me. I didn't know I was capable of that. And then Macca sent me a message and he was like, I'd love for you to be a wildcard athlete in the 2017 event. I was like, yeah, 100%, I'd love to do it. And then obviously everything that happened, I wasn't able to do it. And that was another thing which I was really looking forward to doing at the end of the year, but obviously that never materialized. And Macca gave me the same opportunity at the end of this year, and I kind of was just really grabbed the opportunity and targeted it in a way. And it was such good fun to race, even though every second hurt so bad, but it hurt so good at the same time.
How painful was it on day 2 just to kind of keep in and not be eliminated?
It was the kind of waking up and being like, oh man, I have to do this all over again, but without a stop. And it's like your legs are really sore and everything. You're getting up and you're seeing everyone else and they're looking sprightly and you're like, oh god, don't show pain and stuff. And it was really cool. Even though every time you got back in the water after a bike and a run, you kind of lose all ability to swim. All the blood's just not there. And yeah, it was a humbling experience again, but it was such good fun at the same time to just kind of push your body to those limits in such a unique format.
Would you like to do more if you get the opportunity?
100%. I still didn't get the best out of myself, even though I was pleased with how it all went, and it was just really fun to do. I feel like I haven't yet obviously have unfinished business with the format, and I think it's only going to grow. So people are always saying, oh, as much as I find triathlon well exciting to watch, I feel like people are getting a bit bored of the original formats and stuff like that. So I think bringing something fresh into triathlon has kind of piqued the interest. And I was listening to a podcast that Macca did on my ride home yesterday, and he was talking about the same thing happening with 2020 cricket. And I think that almost it could work that way, that we do have a different format inside triathlon, which is Super League. So it will be interesting to see how it pans out in the next few years. But I loved it, and all the other athletes loved it as well. So we'll have to just see how that goes.
And I guess there's a bit of more of a chilled out fun vibe than say like the ITU circuit.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think that it's probably the best I've ever been treated in a competitive environment. You kind of you're treated so well that you almost kind of you're a bit more chilled out, and you don't have to worry about different things and this and that, and everyone's really good mates, and it's kind of almost a step back from where everyone's really intense and sitting in a race briefing in an ITU setting to going into the cinema in a Jersey and having our presentation there and our race briefing there. It's like, wow, this is cool. Like, you don't get this very often anywhere. When you get athletes to buy into something, it's often going to take off, I think. So I think that they've got such a depth of athletes, and people seem to love the format, and the audience love it as much as the athletes do. So I can only see it growing, really.
And finally, how does 2019, how's it looking for you?
I think I'll definitely be starting my triathlon season very early next year. I think almost as early as February, just to get some ranking points up with trying to get into different races and whatnot. I'd really love to get some WTS exposure next year. I think that's going to be part of starting early, is that I'm going to have to get my ranking up to be able to be given those opportunities, and then hopefully, if possible, look towards qualifying for the test event next year in Tokyo, if I can really deliver in the first part of the season, and then going on from the test event, hopefully delivery at the under 23 Worlds. I was pleased with how I did this year, but I feel like there's still more to come from that, and I still think there's a real opportunity there, so I'd love to really deliver there.
Alex, we will be following with excitement.
Thank you very much.
Now, the thing that I feel, I find really amazing about this is we've talked about sort of how the Brownlees generation were the first generation that came through, actually raised as triathletes, and how that moved the sort of the state of the sport forward. The fact they weren't from either a swim or a bike or a run background, they'd been raised as triathletes, and the effect that's had. What we're now starting to see is almost like the reversal of that, is kids who are brought up as triathletes, and the massive crossover effect of the training means they can completely excel at more than just triathlon, but also be international standard athletes in single sport as well. It's almost like it's gone full circle, isn't it?
Yeah. But just like the talent is incredible with Alex. It's amazing the sort of times he's putting down and some of those like youth records that he's been breaking as well.
You wouldn't want to come off the bike against Alex Yee knowing that he's put a sub 28 minute 10k down on the track. It would be so inside your head, wouldn't it?
Yeah, totally. But the fact that he's got, the likes of Mo Farah as well in touch with him. He's got Macca wanting him to race Super League. Yeah, he's still studying at, doing his studies at Leeds and everything like that, combining it all. So keep up the good work, Alex.
Great stuff. Love it. Great interview. Okay, let's jump over into Coach's Couch, where this week we're talking about mindset.
Yeah, so you might have to explain this one a bit more to me, Rob, because it's the third of the 4 principles in your time training system. So, yeah, why is mindset? Come on, fill us in. Why is it so important for triathletes?
Well, I think it's really great to get the opportunity to talk about mindset because I think a lot of people kind of go, triathlon is all about preparing yourself physically. And if you're in good shape, you're going to go out there and you're going to do a really good performance because you're in really good shape and it's a physical sport. And I think it's a massive mistake to overlook the effect of people's minds in this sport because although 70.3 or Ironman, or in fact any triathlon, can be the hardest physical thing you've ever done, the biggest challenge is always your mind. And that plays out in 2 ways. The first way is that on a day-to-day basis, and here we're not talking about motivation or sort of geeing yourself up first thing in the morning to get out of bed, but it's much simpler than that. On a day-to-day basis, it's really common for athletes to spend more time worrying about the training than actually doing the training. When they're considering, am I doing enough of this swim or bike or run? Should I be doing more? How hard should I be going? Am I actually doing the right thing? It's massively draining, and I think it often contributes more to fatigue than the actual training that people do themselves. It's like that constant nagging worry that they're not doing the right thing. It's completely exhausting. And I think if people aren't 100% sure what the best way to train is, then they're going to be wasting an awful lot of mental energy. And that means they're wasting the training time and effort too. So the reason that this is in the time training system is we want people to know exactly what training they should be doing every day and the exact intensity they should be doing it. And that frees up that mental energy to just actually do the training. Because if you're not doing that, then most of your training, say it's just like that kind of just fit it in where you can kind of training. And then they've got this niggling seed of doubt in the back of the mind about, am I actually doing the right thing? It's no wonder people like that are constantly worrying because it is massively draining. Now, the second way that mindset's important and the reason it's in the system is it's the mindset for race day itself, because we want athletes to be on the start line knowing that they're about to have the race of their life. And that if they're nervous, it's that kind of good kind of nervous because they're about to go and do something exciting. Not nervous because they're worrying that they're not prepared and they haven't done stuff right in the lead up to it. And I think that's one of the things that's most challenging for people in these big races is that if the training has been hit and miss and they've just fitted in things where they can throughout the year, the day-to-day experience has been that they've had doubts and then another doubt. And then the start line's a pretty intimidating place to be. Whereas we really want athletes hitting race day completely 100% confident that they're totally prepared and ready to go. And then they can actually get out there and enjoy the race rather than being worried and overawed by what's about to happen. Because, we both know, don't we? The Ironman especially, it's an intimidating enough place if you're really well prepared and you're sure you've done the right thing to get there, let alone if you're not quite sure whether you've done the right thing to get there or not. So we've put the mindset as part of the time training system. It's not like an afterthought. It's in there because it's integral to making sure that people have got the mind on the job and they're sure that they know what they're doing and why they're doing it day after day. And that feeds into them knowing what they're going to be doing on race day when race day finally comes around.
And there's going to be loads more on mindset, slightly different, but more, I guess, a little bit more sort of detail about the actual, racing mindset during racing with Leslie Patterson and Simon Marshall in a couple of weeks. So before Christmas, look out for it. Leslie Patterson, multiple ex-Terra World Champion, and her husband, Simon Marshall, sports psychologist. Together, they are actually hilarious. But they've got so much good information, so many good tips, so many little nuggets about the psychological side of racing and training. It's fascinating. It's really, really interesting. We talk chimps. We talk caber tossing. Caber tossing.
Caber tossing?
Yeah. Caber tossing in San Diego.
I love it.
Yeah.
So people will have to watch out for that episode. That'll be coming out in a couple of weeks' time. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about the time training system and how it can help you improve, you can watch our free webinar. There's a link in the show notes. Team Oxygen Addict is closed at the moment. So if you want to go over and watch the webinar, we've got a free 4-week training plan you can download after watching the webinar that will kind of get you through the next 4 weeks of horrible dark winter, start getting you back into decent shape. And then come January, when the team reopens, if the training plan's worked for you, we're going to welcome you in with open arms. So you can get over and you can try out that training plan after watching the free webinar. Just click the link in the show notes.
Nice, Rob. We had a double turbo date again in the garage.
Did you? You and Rich in the garage?
Yeah. Rich and I in the garage with the turbo.
Love it.
Yeah, that's how we rock and roll on a Sunday. It's so funny though, because we just do different stuff. I'm like, I don't fancy doing what you're doing. So he's there, headphones on, watching Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Playing catch up apparently. I think he has about 20 odd more hours to go, so he's quite happy at the moment being on a turbo, being on the treadmill, because it means he can just catch up with Breaking Bad.
Take those over.
Yeah, and I'm there with my headphones in doing something else. Mine was a little bit more intense than his was yesterday, and it's really so weird. I'm like looking across going, oh god, he's lazy, isn't he? I'm joking.
It's not lazy, it's that he's got a plan and he's sticking to it. There'll be times when he's sweating out of his eyelids as well.
Yeah, I won't be there because then it'll like flick onto me. No, that's when you can't have a double turbo date in the garage. It's like, oh no, I'll have my space, thank you. Yeah, we did a bit of cross country as well at the weekend.
Nice. How did that go?
Yeah, good, nice and hilly, muddy. It's good fun, really good fun actually, Rob. I genuinely chatted all my way around.
That's going to break somebody's heart, though, isn't it? The thought of you chatting to people as you're doing cross country. For most people, they're having on the verge of gasping themselves to death in a cross country. Yeah,
I remember when Lucy Gossage and I did the run in Wales as part of the long course weekend. We did the half marathon, and we just chatted our way around, and people were like, "Just get out of here."
Yeah, that's not what you want to hear, is it? If you're really pushing yourself hard and there's two people in front of you just cruising along having a chat.
No, I think we might have made a few. Who would want to be an enemy of either Lucy or mine? I mean, no one really, but
no.
Yeah, I think we annoyed a few people that day. But Rob, I was going to say good luck to Lucy and good luck to Louise Minchin as well. Both of them are going to Patagonia to do Patagon Man this coming weekend, and it just sounds incredible, but blimey, it sounds tough as well. So Louise is
hard swimming in that temperature, isn't it?
Well, very hard to begin with, swimming in that temperature. So they've had to do, work to try to acclimatise a little bit to the chilly temperature. And then Louise was saying that the bike is something ridiculous, like 170 kilometres uphill and then 10k downhill to finish. And then, like many of the other, what to call it, like what do you call them, Rob? Like extreme sort of, Norseman, Celtman, whatever.
Yeah.
Then it's an off-road marathon.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, apparently there are orcas in the...
As if it's not threatening enough, with it being so cold.
God, yeah.
Wow. Fair play. Is that going to be Louise Minchin's first iron distance race?
It is, yep. She's chosen a good one to celebrate her significant birthday.
Wow, good for her.
Yeah.
What a way to do
it. Good luck
yeah.
to both, I say.
Yeah, definitely.
Robin, another bit of news is that Ironman 70.3 Goa has been announced for next October. So that will be the first race in India from Ironman. is an age group only race, but again, if you fancied somewhere completely different, little different part of the world, then there you go. Goa in India, 70.3 Ironman next year.
Oh, a nice place to chill out after the race, won't it? Hang out at Miramar Beach and put your feet up. 29 to 32 degrees at the end of October. Sounds like a nice end of season party, doesn't it?
I think that'd be a great one. Really, really good one. And then, Rob, if you want a bit of inspiration, so in the little news section, I came across this blog earlier this week as well. Head over to cancerfit.me website.
Oh, yeah.
And go and read some of the blogs of the week. Really, really interesting blog from Eric Blackie, who did his 50th full Ironman triathlon at the World Championships in Kona this year. It was his third time there, but he is going through treatment for prostate cancer. So the fact that he was even there is just incredible.
Yeah.
So honestly, go over to cancerfit.me and then go into their blogs and read Eric's blog. It's amazing.
Wow, good tip. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, so
That's
there you go. Cancerfit.me.
50 Ironmans and getting treatment for prostate cancer. That's unreal, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really, really incredible.
All right, so listen everyone, we need to wrap this up for this week. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to give a quick shout out to our sponsors again. Remember, you can use the code Oxygenaddict to get £9.99 worth of free precision hydration using the code Oxygenaddict at precisionhydration.com. You can also check out our free webinar by clicking the link in the show notes, or you can have a read over at teamoxygenaddict.com. You can pick up Helen's Cake, Fueled by Cake, at fueledbycake.com. All proceeds go to charity. And remember, if you would like to leave us a review on iTunes, that would really help out the show in terms of visibility and help us eventually get bigger name stars on the show as well. So you can just do that through iTunes. So until next week, thanks very much for listening, everybody. This has been the Oxygenaddict Triathlon Podcast. I'm Coach Rob Wilby.
I'm Helen Murray.
And have a great, safe training and racing week, and we'll speak to you all again soon. Take it easy, everyone. See ya.